Staring at
All right, and we're live.
the clock.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. We're back.
Oh wait,
Yay,
I'm
so
not
excited.
a blazer.
What a way to start off the year. So, as a reminder, we have this week of classes, we have next week of classes, and then there are midterms. That'll be a 4-day week. Monday is MLK Day, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday have midterms. They'll be done by period, so yeah, you'll have your first period class. Everyone will have the first period exams at one point. Everybody will have their second period exams. The schedule, Mr. Bronzy's working out, and that'll be posted probably next week. You will have a midterm for this class. The plan is for it to cover up to lesson 52. We're going to do 47 today. We already touched on 47 before break. So please start reviewing for the midterm. The midterm is going to look just like one of your tests, except it'll be a bit longer. It'll be 25 or 30 questions instead of 20. And you'll have 60 to 90 minutes to do it. So shouldn't be any real surprises there. We will have a couple of review days before the midterm. As a reminder, I will be out on Friday. I'll also be out a couple days next week, probably Monday and another day. Not sure exactly which ones yet. So just be aware that a couple of days you will not have me here. So when I am here, please take advantage of my presence. Yeah, office hours in person tomorrow afternoon, virtually Wednesday afternoon. If you have questions, please ask them. If there's stuff you want to go over, please ask. Let's make sure that we have a strong performance on these midterms. Yes?
Yeah. No.
Good morning. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas.
Yo, you know we play kids for like Team Durant,
All
right?
right. Lesson 47. Continuing with percents. This is the same type of problem we've been doing for a while, where we talk about, what fraction of such and such, what decimal such and such, what number, what percent also. It doesn't matter whether the problem says what percent, what number, what fraction, what decimal. Anytime that it's a mystery quantity, what do we use to represent it?
N.
Yeah, a variable, n, x, whatever you want to use. Any letter, as long as it's clear that it's a variable there. Now with percents, the thing to remember with percents is, what's a percent?
Out of 100.
Say it again?
Something out of 100.
Right, out of 100. Percent is always a fraction out of 100. Percent is something out of 100. So if we have x percent, that means x out of 100. 100% is 100 out of 100 or 1. If you have 100% of something, you have the whole thing. You have one whole pizza pie, and you have 100% of it. If you have 50%, then you have 50 out of 100, or how can we simplify that fraction?
1/2.
1/2, right. So anytime we say percent, we're talking a fraction over 100. Now, what this means is that when we set up these percent problems, we need to make sure that our answer is in the right format. You could with a decimal or a fraction, but you got to get your answer to have these percents involved. So we're going to be setting things up over 100. So what if we have something like this? 20% of what number is 15? This is example 1 on page 188. Okay, 20% of what number is 15? 20% of what number is 15? How do we set this up? How do we translate this into mathematical symbols so that we can solve it? Isn't it quick? Right, we rewrite 20% as 20 over 100. What about of? Times, not divide, but times what number?
Variable.
Yeah, here's a variable x is equals 15. 20% of what number is 15? Yes?
Yeah.
Every piece of information that's up here has been represented down here. Now to solve it, what are we going to do? We do math. Yes.
Wait, I just said out.
I know. Okay, what do we do to solve it? Remember, we're trying to get what by itself? X is our variable. So what can we do to get that variable x by itself?
The 20 over 100. That side. Yeah.
How do I get rid of the 20 over 100 over here? Okay, yeah, so first of all, we could simplify it to 2 over 10, or even better would be what?
2 over 1. Wait, oh no, never mind. My bad.
1 over 5.
Yeah, 1 over 5. We could simplify this. 1 over 5 times x equals 15. Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, simplification is a good thing to do early on because it makes our lives easier. Wakey, wakey. Okay, now what do we do to get x by itself? Yeah, so notice what's connecting the 1/5 and the x? Multiplication. How do we undo multiplication?
Division.
Division. So right now x is being multiplied by 1/5, so to get it by itself, we can either multiply by the reciprocal, or we could divide. So we can either divide by 1/5, divide by the same thing, or multiply by the reciprocal, which is 1 over 5. Sorry, which is 5 over 1. Excuse me. All right, either way it's going to work out the same way. So say we divide by 1/5, those cancel out. Then what do we do?
Bring it together.
We got to divide the other side by 1/5. Okay, x equals 15 divided by 1/5. How do we divide by a fraction? Keep, change, flip. So what's it going to become instead of 15 divided by 1/5?
15 times 5.
15.
15 times
5.
5. Yes. I keep 15, change division to multiplication, and then flip 1/5 becomes 5.
60.
Yeah, and we get not 60.
Wait.
Yeah, 75.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
How can we check our work here once we get to 75? How can we check our work?
Divide by 5. I know, never mind.
How can we check our work once we get 75? What should we be able to do?
We should be able to get 75 back into 1/5.
20% of 75 is 15.
Right, we should be able to do this. 20% of 75 is 15. That should work out. We can check our work. Simplify this to 1/5 times 75 over 1 equals 15. Let's see. How can we simplify this?
75 over 5.
Yeah, divide by 5. What do we get to divide 75 by 5?
15.
Oh, look at that. So we get 15 over 1 equals 15. Look at that.
Yeah.
That's some real math stuff right there.
Yeah.
Well, if you're that
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, what if we got a percentage that's greater than 100?
I don't know.
Actually, let's do a different one first. Let's do example 2 first. What percent of 140 is 98? What percent?
They have like 2 good kids at it. That's all we have to worry about.
Yeah.
You're just
Nope.
kidding, Dre.
All right. What percent of 140 is 98? How are we going to set this up? How are we going to translate this into algebras?
Variable times 140 equals 98.
So
Yes, Isaiah.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah, so if you say variable for the first one, that can work, but it won't necessarily give you your answer as a percent. If you want to make sure you get your answer as a percent, we'll write variable over 100. Because what percent means what fraction out of 100 of 140 is 98. Yes?
Yeah.
Notice all the other ones, of, multiplication, is, equals. Okay, now what do we do?
Yeah, divide x.
Yeah, we can divide by 140 on both sides because we want to get x by itself.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. What's 98 divided by 140?
Something. A decimal.
Notice, we can just set it up as a fraction. Yes?
Yeah.
Because we got a fraction over here. So having a fraction over there isn't going to be a big deal. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, how can we simplify 98 over 140?
Divide by 10.
Not by 10.
2.
4.
No, we can't divide by 4. Yeah, divide by 2. What are we going to get? 2 isn't the only thing we can divide by, but
70.
70 on the bottom.
Okay, well we divide these by 2 and we get what? Yeah, 49 over,
70.
okay, what else can we simplify by?
7.
Yeah, 7 over 10. Okay, so we know x over 100 equals 7 over 10. Yes?
Yes.
Everybody see how we got that? We took our fraction and we simplified it.
Yeah.
Now, this should look familiar to you from our ratio problems. We cross multiply to find x here.
Oh.
Oh, we get what?
10x equals 700 divided by 7 on both
Equals-
sides.
Yes, 10x equals 700. And then we divide by 10. And we get x is equal to 70. X is 70. We could say that 70% of 140 is 98. We should be able to plug it in and it should work. Yes? Okay. Next. Percentages that are greater than 100.
I thought that's what we just did.
No, that was another one because we got 70% at the end. So this is just sort of the other way around from the first one. Okay, now percentages that are greater than 100. When we have percentages that are greater than 100, what does that mean?
Percentages that are over.
What happens if I give you 120% of my pizza?
You give me more. You give me more than your entire pizza.
Yeah, I give you more than the whole thing.
I'm eating box.
Okay, 20% of a pizza is an entire pizza, and then how much more? 120% of a pizza is one
And
whole
20%
pizza
more.
and
20%.
20% on top of that. Greater than 100, so the whole thing is larger than 1. So let's see, what's the best one to do here? Yeah, what number, this is example 4, what number is 160% of 60? Yes.
Like, you said it could be improper fraction, right? So it's 120 over 100. So
Yes.
it could be 120 over 100.
Yeah, you could write it as a mixed number also. Generally speaking, for algebra, mixed numbers are not a convenient way to do things. Improper fractions are much more convenient than mixed numbers.
Okay.
But simplifying fractions is always a good idea. So what number is 100%, 160% of 60? How do we set that up? Are you listening?
One number is 160.
Yes, this is at the bottom of page 189, example 47.4.
160.
What number is 160% of 60? How do we write that?
Variable.
160 over.
Yeah, variable.
160 over 100 times 60.
Okay, what number? That's variable. No. What's the next word in the sentence?
Equals.
Is. Yes, equals. What number is
160 over 100
160%? That's 160 over 100
times 60.
times 60 of 60. What number is 160% of 60? Yes, we need to make sure we're setting it up correctly. Now to solve, what are we going to do?
60 over 1? I don't know.
Okay, to multiply these two together, okay, we'll change this to 60 over 1 because it's being multiplied by a fraction. What's a better way to write 160 over 100?
16? Probably.
We can make it 16 over 10,
Yeah.
but we could go further than that.
8 over
8 over 5, divide by 20. 8 over 5. Okay, now what do we do?
But also,
Cross.
But
it may
Well,
be
yeah.
1 over 12.
we can cancel out first. Before we multiply these fractions together, what can we cancel out?
Give me a 1 and 12.
Right, 5 down here and 60 up here, divide them both by 5, we get 1 and 12. So x is equal to what? 8 times 12, which is?
63.
No,
96.
96, thank you. That's the times table you should know. Yes, is 96. Now notice, when we're checking our work, one way we can check our work is by actually going and doing the problem again, plugging that in. So we would plug in 96 equals 160 over 100 times 60, and that should work. Another way that we can check our work, it's not a complete check, but it's a very quick thing to do to make sure that your answer at least makes sense. Notice, we look at this question here. What number is 160% of 60? If we're looking for 160% of 60, what should our answer look like relative to 60? 160% of 60, how big is that compared to 60?
100. Sorry, no, I'm It's like, it's like,
What'd you say? Wait.
it's like 4 times it.
No.
What'd you say?
Look at the problem. What number is 160% of 60? So our answer, about how big should our answer be compared to 60?
So
Should it be greater than or less than 60, first of all?
Greater than.
Right, because we're talking 160% of 60, which is more than the whole thing. Is our answer greater than 60?
Yes.
Yes, okay, it should be less than twice 60. What's 2 times something? That's percent. What percent means 2 times something? 200%, right? It would be twice it.
Yes.
160% is less than 200%, right?
yeah.
So this should be, our answer should be less than 120.
Yeah.
So it's somewhere between 60 and 120. Is our answer somewhere between 60 and 120?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Notice we didn't really have to do any work to check it that way. Now we know at least our answer makes sense. That's an easy way to check if you've mixed something up and done something backwards here. Yes?
Yeah.
Is- Imagine yourself in the universe of the problem and ask yourself, does this make sense? All right, one last one. A different kind of scenario. So here, if 75, this is example 5 on the top of page 190. If 75 is increased by 150%, what is the result?
75 equals.
If 75 is increased by 150%,
So 75 plus 150 over.
What number are you?
Equals.
example 5 on the top of page 190.
4K?
I just said.
If 75 is increased by 150%, what is the result?
75 plus 150 over 100.
No, not plus 150 over 100. What does it mean to increase something by 150%?
Subtract, yeah.
It's just gonna be bad.
Okay, but adding how much? If I increase my my profit by 100%,
Yeah.
how much did my profit go up? Yeah, it doubled. I added what I had, 100% of it, I added on top. Now, if we take 75 and we add 150 over 100, what's 150 over 100 equal to?
Yeah, basically.
Is it equal to what? Simplify it.
15 over
Or
5 over. I think that's wrong.
Yeah, it's 150 over 100.
150 over.
This should be quick.
Oh my god, I got 15 over 10, so divide by 5, then that's 2 over, 3 over 2.
Or, yeah, so 1.5.
Yeah.
So if we want to increase 75 by 150%, does that mean we're just adding 1.5 to it?
Yes. 1.5 of 75.
Ah, 1.5
Of 75.
of 75, maybe. What percent of 75 are we going to end up with if we add 150% of it to it?
200.
75 is what? That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yes? Now we want to take that number and increase it by 150%. So now what percent of 75 are we going to have? 75 is 100% of 75. Yes?
250.
Yes? So if we add another 150%, we're going to have 250. So
How does that work?
how does that work? 75 is the whole thing. We're talking about 75. Remember 75?
Yeah.
What percentage of 75 is 75?
100.
100%. Now we want to take 75, we want to increase it by 150%.
So you add another 100. Oh, I get it.
Right, we add another 150%. So there's this, we're multiplying it by 250%. If we multiply it by 150%, that's actually only 50% more than it was.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. So we multiply it by 250%, and we get what number? All right, simplify this for me.
25 over 10.
Yeah.
25 over 10 or what?
Divide that by 5 over 2.
Yeah, it's 5 over 2. Divide that each by 50. 5 over 2.
75 over 1.
All right, so what's 75 over 1 times 5 over 2?
Divide both by 5. And it's gonna be 17 over
375 over
Yes, 375
over 2.
over 2. No, we can't. Notice the only thing down here on the bottom is 2.
Yeah.
And 5 is not divisible by 2. And 75 is not divisible by 2. They're both odd. So we can't simplify this at all.
all the things like 5 by 5 divide 75.
What? We can only divide things on the top by things on the bottom.
Oh,
That's what this thing means. The line in the middle means division.
yeah,
Yeah. The things on the top are being multiplied. Things on the bottom are being multiplied.
okay,
Division only goes between top and bottom. Yes?
yeah,
Yes? Waking up a little bit from that eggnog hangover?
what?
What? Hmm?
It's a hard enough life.
All right. So you could then divide 375 in half, or you could leave it as a fraction. But notice when we're increasing a number by a certain percent, if I increase my earnings by 40%, I now earn more than I did before. Yes? If my 2020 earnings get increased by 40% in 2021, which would be awesome, then what percentage of my 2020 earnings are my 2021 earnings? If I increase it by 40%,
140.
140%. Because I have all of those earnings, I'm earning the same amount that I already was, plus another 40% on top. So it's got to be greater than 100. Again, when we're checking our work here, if you divide this out, you get what?
You get
187 and a half.
what?
187 and a half. Yeah.
I'm so confused.
375 divided by 2?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's 187.5. Okay.
So,
In terms of checking our work, does this make sense? Notice we're looking for something that's more than double 75. What's 2 times 75?
140. Oh, no.
that's gonna be 10.
2 times 75 is,
145.
Wait.
thank you, 150.
That's why I'm
You got to get comfortable with multiplying 25s.
25.
Yeah, 75 is 25 times 3. There's a problem with not using quarters enough. Anyway,
Yeah.
oh yeah. We're looking for something that's more than double 75. Is this answer more than double 75,
Yeah.
but less than triple 75? Is it somewhere between 150 and 225?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah, that should be you should be able to answer that pretty confidently. It's greater than 150 and it's less than 225, so it makes sense as an answer.
Sense.
All right. Genius. Questions about this problem set? Great.
Do we have homework?
Yes.
No.
How about it?
No, why do you have to do this? What do we do wrong?
Please.
Are we these guys? Are we guys?
Yeah.
All right, lesson 47. You get to skip 5 of them.
Oh, I'm sure.
What's up? Hold on, once I announce the these.
Alright.
Okay, 47. Shh, you get to skip numbers. 2, 3.
7,
10.
9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Would you guys listen, please?
Yes.
15 and 29. Now you get to skip 5 of them. Merry
That's like
Christmas.
half the problem.
It's 1/6 of them.